Doug Wylie with Police One. I'm here with Captain Travis Yates. Travis, recently you wrote an article called The Enemy in Waiting, Intersections. An incredibly good article. Can you give us a little bit more insight as to what went behind that?
Well, really it's when you look at the research of officer deaths and vehicle incidents, vehicle injuries. If anyone goes to your website on a daily basis, what you're going to find is you're going to find officer-related collisions in intersections.
Right.
And that's really what spurred it. From what I've seen and from what I see daily on your website, is this is an enemy in waiting. It's when we go to work every day, we think, and it is dangerous, we think that the bad guy, the domestic violence call, the traffic stop, those are dangerous environments, but what sometimes we don't think about is how many intersections are we crossing a day and how dangerous each one of those intersections are if we do not clear them properly.
Right. They're effectively an ambush situation with cars just happening past.
Absolutely, because so much of it we don't control.
Right.
You have multiple cars coming in multiple directions, and they all have to have perfect driving to get through that without you being injured. And so because of that, and we know that many citizens aren't going to be driving perfectly. I mean, just look at vision in itself. 30% of citizens we know don't have the vision it takes to drive effectively. We have to take some extreme measures to try to overcompensate for that, and so we advocated some of that in the article.
I know that I would imagine every civilian driver thinks of an intersection as a time of rest. I'm no longer driving. It's the time to turn to the radio. Right. It's the time to look at your phone or what have you. You're still behind the wheel, and you're still driving, even though you're not moving.
Yeah, we're not in a commercial airline where the airline's flying itself. I mean, when you get to intersect, just because that light's red, green, or yellow, that's not because that doesn't make things automatic. Just because you have a green light does not mean that everyone else is going to stop. And as a law enforcement officer, we pick up carnage in intersections all the time. We know what happens in intersections. NHTSA tells us that 40% of all collisions happen in intersections. And I would say that when it comes to deadly collisions as law enforcement, that is where we're at risk, is intersections. And many times it's people running red lights. Maybe it's us running lights and siren, and we go through the intersection at extreme speeds without clearing it. We have to be on high alert. High alert as you approach an intersection, as you go intersection from lane to lane. And what we'd like to do is, instead of clearing the entire intersection, take it lane by lane by lane.
Right.
Because each lane is danger.
What are some of the things that officers can keep in mind, whether they're going through an intersection or sitting at an intersection or pursuing into an intersection?
Right, when you enter an intersection, you're going to be either running lights and siren or you're going to be driving in normal conditions. Mm-hmm. We have to treat both of them the same. Just because we have lights and siren on doesn't mean we can just blow through the intersection. Now, everyone watching this has either possibly done that or they've seen it done. Mm-hmm. And it's just sheer luck, and by the grace of God, that we're still watching this and paying attention to this. So what we have to know is whether that light is red or green, we have to be careful. Just because the light's green doesn't mean everybody's going to stop. And what I'd like to do is, if the light's green, whether you're running code or whether you're running in normal conditions, slow down before you enter that. Mm-hmm. Do what I call brake covering. Put your foot over the brake. Don't touch the brake, but put it over it, because that's going to help your reaction time getting your foot on that brake if you need to stop or steer away from something. And that's on a green light. We want to slow down. Just because it's green and the speed limit's 45 or 50, slow down to 20, 25. It's not going to impact your arrival time by slowing down a few miles an hour going through the intersections. It just won't. But that extra 10, 15, 20 miles an hour could be just enough to save your life, to save somebody else's life, to miss the mishap that we know occurs so often in intersections. And then when the light's red, in emergency driving, when you've got to get through the red light to get somewhere, that's what we do for a living. We have to get somewhere. We have to get somewhere quickly. There's a time and place to get somewhere quickly. Right. You know, it's not on a red light intersection or a stop sign. We want you to stop completely, clear the intersection, make sure everyone sees you and hears you that's approaching. And the bigger the intersection, the more dangerous it is, because the more vehicles are there.
Chief Jeff Chudwin has said many times, I've heard it said, and I heard him saying recently, that no call has he ever gotten to that would be different from 10-second delay. Right. And it's a great reminder, hearing it from him and hearing from you, that each intersection and each lane in an intersection is its own street. It's something that's got to be managed and mitigated individually every time. Yeah,
Chief is exactly right. I mean, we have kind of a misconception that if we can get there quickly, we can somehow do something that we can't do there if we don't get there as quickly. And the truth is, the Chief knows it, and I know it from years of experience. Very seldom do we get somewhere where what's happened hasn't already happened, whether it's a collision or a violent crime. Mm-hmm. And all we're doing by driving recklessly is putting our lives in peril and friends, family, and civilians on our roadways, lives in peril.
Great. Travis, thank you for bringing attention to the danger, the enemy that lies in waiting at intersections. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for having me.